The most sophisticated heist imaginable doesn't happen in some bank vault or a museum. Nope. It happens inside the cells of your very own body. And that's exactly what cancer is, a rebellion from within. So let's really dive into that idea. This image, it really says it all. Cancer isn't some foreign invader like a virus or bacteria. It's more like a civil war. It's a battle that pits our own immune system against our own cells that have gone rogue. Now, to really understand a crime, you have to understand the crime scene before everything went sideways. So let's start there. Let's take a look at the normal, highly regulated, and kind of perfectly balanced world of our body cells. When your body is healthy, everything is just in harmony. As you can see here in this top diagram, new cells are made to replace old ones. And if a cell gets damaged, the system has a protocol to just get rid of it. It's this constant, controlled dance between life and death. And that protocol, it has a name: apoptosis. This is probably the body's most important safety feature. Seriously. Think of it like a built-in self-destruct button for any cell that's old, damaged, or starts showing any signs of misbehavior. It's absolutely essential for keeping order. But what happens when that order breaks down? Every heist has that one inciting incident, right? That single moment where things start to go wrong. For cancer, it all kicks off with one fundamental error. And listen, if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. At its absolute heart, cancer is a genetic disease. It's not some bug in the system. It's a flaw in the actual code, a mutation in our DNA. So how does that code get corrupted? Well, it can happen in a few ways. Sometimes it's just a simple copying mistake when a cell divides. Other times it's damage from the outside world, things like radiation or certain chemicals. And sometimes it's just bad luck, a random chance event. But here's the thing. A successful heist almost never happens with just one slip-up. It takes multiple hits, an accumulation of these genetic errors that knock out one security system after another. And once those errors start to pile up, that's when the rogue cell begins its real mission, a systematic takeover. See, it's not enough to just be broken. To become cancer, a cell has to actively hijack its own command and control systems. And this is not a random attack. The mutations are like strategic strikes against 4 very specific types of genes, the ones that act as the master regulators for a cell's entire life cycle, from growth all the way to death. The first 2 targets are easiest to understand with a car analogy. First, you've got these genes called proto-oncogenes. Think of these as the car's accelerator. They normally tell a cell when to grow and divide. A mutation here is like the accelerator getting jammed to the floor, forcing the cell into constant, reckless growth. On the flip side, you have tumor suppressor genes. These are the brakes. They tell a cell to stop dividing. A mutation here, that's like cutting the brake lines. The cell just can't stop, even when it's supposed to. Okay, so the car is speeding out of control. Next up, the heist crew goes after the alarm system. Remember apoptosis, that self-destruct sequence we talked about? The genes that regulate it are a critical failsafe. Mutating them is like having an inside man cut the wires to the alarm. It lets a dangerously damaged cell survive and multiply when it absolutely should have been eliminated. And the final piece of this takeover? You gotta disable the cell's own police force. These are the DNA repair genes. They're like a repair crew, constantly patrolling the genome and fixing any errors they find. When they're mutated, it's like jamming all communications. The cell can't fix mistakes anymore, which means future mutations pile up even faster, accelerating the whole criminal enterprise. So let's recap where we are. The accelerator is jammed, the brakes are cut, the self-destruct sequence is disarmed, and the repair crew is gone. Now we get to see what this all leads to, the final phase of the heist, the uncontrolled takeover. Let's go back to this diagram, but this time focus on the bottom half. This is the consequence. Now that it's been freed from all of its normal controls, the cell just divides endlessly, creating this growing mass of rogue copies, all of them sharing that same corrupted genetic code. The source material for this explainer defines the resulting tumor in a way that's, it's pretty chilling. It calls it a new growth, has no cause, no function, and not controlled by the body. It's basically an outlaw entity, living inside the system but playing by its own destructive rules. But like any crime, this cellular heist leaves behind clues. It leaves a trail of molecular evidence. And this brings us to how scientists and doctors basically become forensic investigators, decoding the crime scene right inside the body. So these investigators, they have three main tools. First, they can look for tumor markers. These are specific substances that cancer cells release into the bloodstream, almost like a calling card left at the scene. Next, they can analyze the cells directly under a microscope, looking for those telltale abnormalities in shape and size that just screams something is wrong here. And finally, for the most direct evidence, they can perform chromosomal analysis, looking right at the DNA to find the exact genetic errors, the molecular fingerprints that caused this whole heist in the first place. And all of this, it brings us to the ultimate question. This entire process, this intricate, devastating cellular heist, is fundamentally a failure of our own internal systems. It's our code, just corrupted. So the crucial question we're left with is this. If cancer is our own system turning against itself, how do we ever hope to fix the code?